Alrighty, show you where I'm up to. I've bolted up some plates, 3mm plate to the, well, on this side there were 10mm nuts already welded into the chassis rail, but on that side they're only M6, so I had to drill those out and I got to weld the nuts in. But so I've got 3mm plate both sides. Found some old chromoly. So got this is what we're gonna do. So we're going to do something like that. It's going to weld that up, then weld some tabs off to catch the intercooler and some tabs off the back to hold the bottom of the radiator. And that's about 30mm higher than the subframe. So I want it to be nice and solid. I use 44mm seamless race tech tube because I want to use this as a jacking point in the center here. I weld a little center lift point in the middle there. So it's nice and strong, and I wanted it to push up on the bottom of the chassis rails to lift the car evenly. Okay. There we go. That's it. So yeah, I bust the MIG out, weld those on, and I can make the tabs. So yeah. And then I'll have to make some sort of rad support at the top. Probably just bolt up to the back of the lights or something, but I'll work that out when we get there. Time for some welding. Just gonna take it off now and finish welding it on the ground so I can get around all the tubes. Oh man. Bit stoppy starty. Tell you what, when you're 44 you won't see so well either. So that's the major part done. I did. I had to weld the nuts in there, captive nuts, so it's removable. A little bit heavy using the 44, but I didn't want it to flex and stuff while I'm jacking the car. RB is pretty heavy, so, but reliable. So there you go. That's the thing. Right there. Radiator, see if that goes in. Yeah. You can see it's pretty flush at the bottom of the tube. I just weld some bits of flat steel across the bottom there, drill some holes in them. Probably a bit bigger so I can run the rubber, what do you call them, feet thingies for the that. But there you go. Took me a while to do that, because I kept changing my mind. I was going to use these holes on the outside here. You can see where the old tow hooks were. They used to hang down, one on each side, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just put a plate on the outside and run the tube across between it. But then, like, they're only M8 nuts welded in there. I thought, oh, I want a jack on it and stuff. A lot, like, you know, drift cars get jacked up and down a lot of times. Then it'd be very annoying if they like ended up cracking off those nuts in there. So we went for the straight old flat foot plate on the bottom of the chassis rail. That way it's always just pushing against it, and the bolts just have to really hold it there. 10mm bolts, plenty strong to hold the old radiator up. And the intercooler, probably just have like one mount off the bottom of it. May squeeze an oil cooler in there as well. I'm not sure about the oil cooler location yet. The FD RX7 has twin oil coolers factory, which mount here and on the other side. But those two positions, as most drifters will know, are quite precarious. So I don't think I'll do that. I think I'll put it in the middle. Sort of restricts the airflow a bit, but better than having a blown engine, because your bearings are spun, which has happened to me in the past from snapped oil cooler lines. Alrighty, weld some more tabs on and try and get this thing mounted up by the end of today. Stay tuned, I'll get back after I've done my cutting and stuff. Alright, so it's a bit of a tight squeeze, but I had to cut a hole in the bottom of the bonnet. Oops, you can see with the hole saw through the bottom layer of the skin, the ribbing skin, to give some clearance for the radiator cap, because I wanted to get the bottom of the radiator up as high as possible, so that the, what do you call them, dowels, pins, whatever it is, locating pins, don't get snapped off on the ground or anything stupid. So I'm going to make a flat tab off the bottom of the bar, drill a hole in it, stuff. Got some 40x6 or 40x5, I think, plate. It's already started. Just mark the length, drilled a 20mm hole with a 20mm hole saw. old trusty. Smash that through there with a bit of cutting fluid. So just got to lob those off and then maybe around the corners and weld them on. And that'll be the bottom done. And I can work on how I'm going to hold the top of the radiator. So also while I've got the welder out and I'm doing the tabs for the radiator, I'm going to weld up the end of the chassis rails. But I want to put some welded in nuts on the end plates so that I can bolt on a nudge bar front. So I've got 2 bits of 3mm plate and I've center punched the plate that I want to drill the holes through, but obviously it's not attached to the car yet because I haven't welded it yet. So I found what the easiest way to do is just tack these 2 pieces together on the edge, and then you'll find that later on, so you can drill the holes and the holes will line up perfectly, and then because you've tacked it and it's just solid one piece, and then you just run the grinder through the welds on the edge, and then when you weld the pieces on, the welds will just blend in with the weld when you're welding and you won't even know you tacked it. That way you know your holes are going to be perfectly aligned when you drill it. Just a couple of little tacks, like yay. Now we can take it over and stick it in the vise, drill our holes, and our plates will be sweet. Well, the holes will be sweet. Doesn't really matter where the plates go, we can always finish them up with a flapper. Yeah, show that. So I'll drill those and I'll come back over here and weld them up. When I drill the holes that I'm going to weld the nuts on the back of, captive nuts, I always drill the holes 1/2 mm bigger, and I use the countersunk bolt to locate the nut so it spaces it out from the edges a little bit. That way, if you when you're welding the nut, if the nut like lifts slightly, you know, one side, which it does, it can if you have the hole exactly like 8mm, if it's an 8mm bolt, that might bind on the edge when you're doing it up, and eventually you're going to like damage the thread on that bolt. You know, especially if you're changing them from holes to holes when you're just putting things back up and stuff. So I like to give it a bit of clearance so it always screws in nicely by hand. You don't have to get a ratchet every time to screw it in because it's binding slightly. I want everything to work well and last a long time. So yeah, so it's countersunk bolt, screw the nut by hand, and weld them up. It's always good if you have more than one bolt because it doesn't get super hot. Change it over. hot. Motherfucker. Now. Shit. Shouldn't have used a stainless steel bolt. Why? Why, children? Oh, the nut's stainless as well. Whoops. Should have inspected the nuts I was choosing a bit more closely. I just scabbed them out of my nut bucket. This one's mild steel, this one's stainless. So obviously when stainless heats up, it expands quite a bit. So the nuts grabbed onto the bolt because the bolt got hot and expanded inside the nut as well. Yeah, it's all seized. We'll let that cool down, it'll come apart. Fun and games, isn't it? So I marked these so that I knew which one went with which. One goes to that one, so one goes to this one. Label them clearly again. So hot under. Driver's side. Driver's side, passenger side. My tabs for the bottom of the radiator, so I can weld those on. And I can weld on these end plates onto the end of the chassis rail as well. Get 2 lots of welding done while I've got the welder over there. Hold up a sec. There we go. Oh, the end thingy's on. My tabs welded on. You see? Ooh. Yeah. There's like 3 layers of steel in the FD chassis rails. It's pretty nuts. That's a good spot to show you. They're like super thick. Yeah. I don't know if you can see just there. Three layers, pretty thick. So what I'm thinking is, I'm actually going to show you inside in the light. Let's look at these ridges here, which will be the crumple zones. In the notches in the chassis rail there. They'll be your factory crumple zones, which are meant to save your life. But I got a roll cage, so I don't need to save them from factory crumple zones. I actually want this to crumple before my tower moves. I don't want the tower to get pushed back if I have a hit in the front, because I would just like wreck the whole chassis. And I can always remake tube frame from here forwards later on if this gets crumpled, so same as I made the jig to hold the headlight. So I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll get probably a 30mm hole saw. I'll make Swiss cheese out of the chassis rail, put like 8 holes. I'll get the 40mm hole saw and make Swiss cheese out of this chassis rail. Dodge all the spot welds obviously, but just weaken it up a bit on the inside and the outside, so that if I do have a hit in the front, crumbles here, probably smash the front of my motor, but RB25s are a bit more common than FD shells, so prefer to have the shell reusable than sacrifice the fan or whatever in front of the motor. Like if you have a big enough hit, the car's going to stop anyway, so it probably won't wreck the whole motor, probably just smash the water pump and stuff. Because I'll have the nudge bar and everything on, so that'll take a fair bit. It'll crumble back, but depends on how fast we're going. But yeah, that's a bit of a milestone, the radiator mount. Finally. It's only the bottom. I still got to make the top one. Shoes. But it took me a bit of working out. It's like I stood there looking at it for ages, working out how I wanted to do it. So I've got to weld a jacking point on the center of this bar as well, so that I can jack the car from the front in the pits without having to get the jack. Normally on my MX-5, I like shove the jack all the way in and put it under the lower control arm and jack from the middle of the lower control arm, because the same with the FD and the MX-5, the radiator and that, like the cross member's like way back there, and the front of the car's out here somewhere. Your jack doesn't reach it, and there's nothing to jack off up near the front of the car on the rails. So I jack off the arms. Oh, stop telling me you got a low battery, stupid phone. Anyway, so yeah, weld on a jacking point, and that'll be done with the bottom part, and I'll make something for the top. Probably I even utilize these holes on the outside here. Weld in nuts, so I can make a bracket go up and hold the top. That. Yeah, that'll be another video. I'm done with this one. It's getting pretty long, I think, this video, so I'll put this up and then I'll do some more stuff and show you that. So, thanks for watching. It's the I Love Drift channel. Check out the ilovedriftclothing.com.au on the website. We've got some new hoodies and stuff. And yeah, stay tuned. RX7 building.